Starfield is a huge game and there are several things that I wish I knew sooner before I started playing. In this video, I'll be giving you my top 10 tips for new players, so keep watching to make sure you're fully prepared to take on the galaxy and hopefully you'll have a more enjoyable time in this game. Starfield is massive. It can feel overwhelming and even intimidating when you first start playing. It doesn't have the easiest map to navigate as the map itself has multiple layers to it. One of the most important things to remember is to take the time early on to really familiarise yourself with the map, that way you can use it correctly throughout your playthrough. When I first started the game, I felt that the map was not fully user friendly and I did struggle a little bit with navigation at first. So here is a quick guide to the map. When you press M to open the map, it will show you your current location. If you've landed on a planet, you'll be able to see that planet and all of the points of interest on it. You can click on any points of interest on that planet and press X to fast travel there. If you want to travel to another planet, you have to press Tab. This will zoom out of the planet you're currently on and show you the solar system. You can also fast travel to any of these planets by clicking on them and pressing X. If you press Tab again, it will zoom out even further and show you all the other solar systems. If you want to travel to any of these, just click on the solar system you want to go to and press X to set a course there. You'll then be prompted to press X again and you'll be able to grav jump to that solar system. Now, from what I've experienced so far, the main way of getting around in Starfield is definitely fast travel. There is a lot of opening up your map and pressing buttons and watching your ship fly off in a cutscene instead of actually landing it yourself. But with the sheer size of the game, that would be quite difficult to do. The exception is some of the space stations or other ships you need to visit. To do this, you'll fast travel to the planet that it orbits, then you'll be able to approach the space station or ship and dock onto it. Alongside space travel, it's also not the easiest to get around on foot. With no minimap, you just have to follow the blue destination marker. However, there is one thing that you can do to make finding your way around cities and stations a lot easier. You can actually bring up your scanner and sometimes a path with arrows will guide you to where you need to go. This is very useful if you're in a station that has a lot of tunnels and staircases and you just need that extra nudge to help you find your objective. Another thing I wish I knew sooner in Starfield is your scanner is super useful for more than just exploration. It's also a great way to get some extra XP. You can level up very quickly by going out of your way to explore planets and use the scanner on everything you see. You get XP for anything you scan, and if you combine this with the well rested buff, which gives you 10% bonus XP for a time after you've slept, then you can really get a lot out of scanning. One skill to supplement this strategy is to get the surveying skill in the science tree, which will allow you to scan entities further away, which will make the entire process a lot easier. Another skill set that you can use here is to get the zoology skill, which reduces how long it will take for scanned animals to become data entries. So make sure you prioritize scanning, especially early on in the game, to get as much XP as possible. One super important thing that you need to know for the early game is the character background. The background of your character will influence your dialogue and interactions with NPCs throughout the game. Take your time and really consider which background you want to choose, as you cannot change it once you leave the character creator. The religion type builds seem to have had even more references made to it by NPCs than some of the others. I think this really shows how much effort Bethesda has put into their character creator and how important role playing is to Starfield. I'd also recommend properly reading through each of the starting skills that each background comes with. It will take some time to level up and collect skill points, so these are the only 3 that you will have at the start of the game. I should also add here that traits will influence characters in a similar way. They are slightly different, however, as traits are optional and come with positive buffs but also negatives which you'll need to balance. For example, characters with the introvert trait use less oxygen when going solo but will use up more when travelling with a companion. So definitely take as much time in there as you want to choose your background and traits and fully customize your character. Another essential tip for the early game is what skills to get first. Once you've got a few levels under your belt and you've gained a few skill points, you'll need to know the best places to invest your hard-earned skill points in. Firstly, do not overlook the persuasion skill. Persuasion is a big part of dialogue in this game and can help you get out of some tricky situations if you want a more passive approach. Investing in this skill early on will help you convince NPCs easier, and it would be a shame not to have it. Another great skill to get early on is boost pack training. This will be helpful in so many ways. You can traverse planets much easier and it will give you an advantage when it comes to combat. It will also save you a ton of time. Maybe you need to get on top of a raised area or have fallen off a building that you need to get back on top of. The boost pack will have you covered. The third skill that is super useful in the early game is ballistics. It's great to be able to deal more damage in combat, and the ballistic skill will increase the damage of multiple weapon types. The next thing that I wish I knew sooner was how quickly your carrying capacity gets full and how annoying this can be. It's super easy to be over encumbered early on when you're looting everything and everyone trying to get good weapons and gear. However, there are a few ways to try and prevent this. Firstly, make sure to invest in the weightlifting skill. This will increase your total carrying capacity by 10 kilograms at rank 1, 25 kilograms at rank 2, 50 kilograms at rank 3 and 100 kilograms at rank 4. This will allow you to carry way more items. You can also trade with any of your companions. When you notice your capacity getting near the max, it's a good idea to start selling some items. Another option is to try and dump as much as you can in your ship's cargo hold once you get back onto your ship. Overall, these three things should help with not getting your inventory full all of the time. The shipbuilder mode can be quite intimidating in Starfield with a lot going on. There are tons of upgrades that look very tempting at the beginning of the game. However, I would advise against purchasing upgrades for your ship straight away. This is because it's very easy to steal a ship and register it as your own later on, and even easier to just save those credits and buy a better ship altogether. Don't get me wrong, go crazy on the colour customization, that kind of thing, but save those credits by not needlessly buying tons of upgrades on the starter ship. Now, the next tip may come across as basic to some players, but I find it very important. Make sure you stick with the main story quest for a good amount of time before you head out exploring. It can be super tempting to open up the game too much straight away because the setting is really cool and you do want to explore the different planets. However, I wish I would have familiarised myself with the gameplay mechanics a bit more before I tried to pick up side quests and activities. You'll also not have the abilities to do certain things and everything can soon seem a little overwhelming. Some areas of the game are also blocked off until you reach a certain point, so it is well worth sticking with the main story for a good while at first. This next tip will save you a ton of time when harvesting resources. You could be using the cutter tool in a much more effective way without even realising. When you have your cutter and are about to harvest a resource, instead of clicking the left mouse button and just using the slow method, you can actually hold right click until the lines become charged or red in the middle, then release and you will harvest the ore a lot faster. And the final thing I wish I knew sooner in Starfield is to always loot and buy Digi Picks. You will need these bad boys to lockpick your way to better loot, and running out of them is very easily done. You'll always use up a Digi Pick when breaking into something, so make sure you keep an eye on how many you have available and buy them at every opportunity you have. Otherwise, you might be on the verge of some amazing loot only to run out of picks. And that's my top 10 tips I wish I knew sooner for Starfield. Let me know in the comments if you have any helpful tips to add. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Starfield content. As always, thank you for watching. See you next time.